Hey everyone, John Doyle from Optix EQ. Hope you're enjoying the new platform and getting used to it. I'm going to do a little bit of a handicapping seminar here around green keywords and rod and so forth. So just to get a familiar what the new rod looks like and maybe how to approach things. So today's date is June 20th, and I'm going to go to rod. And what rod looks like is what it's always looked like, just feels a little bit different in terms of the colors and so forth. And we did add the speed plot class. And what this is, again, for people who are new, this is just basically our assessment of does the horse fit on those categories, okay? So we look at racing in like maybe 6 categories: speed, plot, class, form, like form cycle. Then we also look at things like suitability, is horse suited to the surface distance, those kinds of things. And then other like would be jockey trainer changes, things like that. Okay, so anyway, let's look at this. And the first thing I want to do is let you notice that we have the toggle columns up here. So if you don't like a particular column and it's just too busy for you, you want to take some of them out, you just can kind of do this. And then it'll stay until you reverse it. So it will stay to the next race or until you want to reverse it. And then if you just click out, it makes it disappear. So simple as that. Okay, so I'm going to do my typical one. Then we'll go to notes, and I'm going to look for green keywords in the last race. And I'm going to focus on Belmont at Aqueduct, just so because I looked at it earlier and I just thought that there's maybe some opportunity here. And the first one is race 2, and that's a horse that in his first start had kickback. If you look at if you see the blue in the bubble, that means there's an extended comment. So this horse ducked in the break, pinched shortly thereafter, found issues again, start of turn and past middle of the turn. So the recommendation for this horse is a stretch out. He did get kicked back in that race. He's been given 41 days. Now, I'm going to double click. So if you just want to look at this particular race and get into the plot and grid, you could either go out here and select, the plot button or the grid button, or you can easily just double click the run line and you get it. So you can see that this race is just littered with first-time starters, so it's always hard to kind of get a handle on it. But I just think, especially with the connections, on the number 3 and the big race that horse had, and you could see that green keyword and that red keyword was tagged. So this horse had a really clean trip. And I'm just thinking maybe the improvement, the stretch out for the 2, maybe can essentially turn the tables because they were in the same race. So he's going to be a bigger price. Also, always check the board to see how the first times starters to taking money or not. I just thought, again, if it came down to those 2 horses, if the firsters, nothing looks like dynamite, maybe the 2 turns the tables on the 3. One thing I like to do, I didn't check this out, but I go to notes. I just want to see the kind of the odds in that race. So, one was 6-1, 14-1. So, they both didn't really take much money, but again, just looking to kind of play the notes here a little bit. So that's the first one. Now I go back, and you notice that if I just arrow back, I get back to where I need to go. So this race, the 4th race is a little bit more interesting because this horse I think is going to be a price, and that's Jitterbug. Look at the notes on this horse. First time out was on synthetic. We projected an improve on this horse. The next time out, this horse had trouble to start, so against the flow. I made a ton of stuff here, right? Made a move, and we're projecting improve. And then also a switch to the turf that this horse gets there. Now, that race was at 10 furlongs. So, in a race like this with horses that are, relatively young, he's already kind of got distance kind of figured out. I mean, he ran a good race despite the trouble and still finished there. Now, it was only a 4-horse field, but you can see all the trouble he had. There's also a horse in here. Let me just go to, let's go to this race. Okay. And you can see he plots badly, but that could be excused. I mean, this is maiden horses. You've had horses that all have taken a shot. No barn burners here. You can see a lot of these horses running below the Optix fig. The 6 and the 7. The 6 had benefit of a good trip. The 7 ran well, so I'm assuming this horse is going to take some money. The other interesting thing is, and this is a while back, but you got to kind of factor this in. This horse just is coming off a long off, but did run in the key race last time, the number 8, Just Marianne. But Jitterbug is just interesting from a notes perspective because this horse is not too far off on figures, right? So at a big move up, this horse really can compete, and 8-1 is a great price. And yeah, it's another Clement horse in the race, right? So he's got the 7 and the 9. Sometimes, we can see them. They run 2 and the longer price usually does pretty well in the case, because what I was told for a long time, a very famous trainer says they both put them both in a race, they both got a chance to win. So that's the way they feel. Okay, I'm going to go back to the rod table, and take a look at this. So we got Jitterbug in race 4, race 6, Nalarite, and this is another horse just had a bad trip, or not, basically this looked like a prep 2 back off the turf race. We want projected to go back on turf, and then a better than looked effort last time, 7-2 in the morning line. I'm not going to go and dig into this race too much, but you just can see on the speed plot classes was above on speed, average, and so he fits. So that we're not looking for everything to be above. We're just looking to see if the horse fits with the form cycle stuff. This horse, makes sense. He's handled the 6 furlongs on the turf. It's not an issue. Oh, I just want to go back on Jitterbug. You see he's below on plot. And, again, his plot's based on 2 races where he's had some issues. So I wouldn't hold that against him. Young horse like this, we're looking for projections on young horses. Projections of things like this, question marks, improve, turf, change in surface. You got to take a little bit, we got to give a little bit more leeway. Don't just marry yourself to a particular thing. That's why we have both the notes and the plot and these other things like speed figures and so forth. You got to kind of work them all together. Princess Becca, 244-day layoff. I usually, I'm going to kind of wait and see on this one. Nay Jude, there's another horse that got kicked back in the last race. This horse seems to be fit on speed, above on plot, above on class, 4-1. Yeah, I would consider that horse. I would dig in a little bit on that one, take a look at it a little bit more closely, and kind of the same thing on the 11 in race 9, Sinshun. This horse had major trouble. That's where the trouble plus was, and cost a better finish. Average, and above on class, fits the criteria of the race with the addition of the notes, and that's really kind of what I'm using the speed plot and class for, is just to get a sense. In this case, it's just to get a sense. Does this horse, when I'm looking at this initially before I dig in, does this horse kind of fit on those things? I know there might be something in his form that may get overlooked because of my notes. Is the horse a fit? Could I go to the next level? So that's what we're doing. So that's today at Belmont at Aqueduct. Hope we get a kind of sense of the way we kind of handicap using the form cycle, using the notes to get at least an initial read. Are there horses that maybe are going to be undervalued based on those notes, and then making sure those horses kind of fit today's criteria, and then going forward from there. Okay, John Doyle, hope you like this. Again, give us feedback. You go to optixeq.com, and thanks for listening.